everyone. Happy 4th of July. We're so excited that you are joining us this afternoon. The time is now 5:31 and we're going to call this meeting to order. It has been duly posted as required by state law. And although we're missing one commissioner, I believe he's on his way, but we still have a quorum. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I will ask Commissioner Kinsley to lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Give us the spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Please guide us so that this meeting will be productive. Let us be effective and decisive. We ask these things as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen. Now the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask Mark if you can read the conflict of interest.
Yes, Mayor. Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a council member or certain members of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. Members with a conflict of interest cannot participate in the discussion nor vote on the agenda item. Are there any known conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
None.
None.
No.
None.
None.
Wonderful. Moving on to citizen communication. Amanda, do we have anyone signed up?
No, ma'am, we have no one.
No. All right. Everyone is still enjoying the holiday. Okay, now we have item 1, approval of minutes. We have the regular meeting minutes of May 17, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, we have a presentation by the Executive Director of the MPO. Signalization projects proposed by TxDOT by the RGVMPO under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill Carbon Reduction Program. Andrew, good afternoon.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, no. Don't
Good
start this day
afternoon.
over. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. I appreciate being able to be here this evening talking about a little good news. So we keep getting a little, last time we came to you, we had some money that we're going to be doing in the area on some future projects. So now we're coming to you with another amount of money that we're going to be using in the area. So the carbon reduction program is a part of our transportation bill that we have, and we finally got some guidance from TxDOT about a month ago or so, and we moved through trying to find some project ready some ready projects to move forward with each one of the local governments and the communities. And one of the things that we were able to identify is through our congestion study that we do regionally with coal plant, we were able to identify a couple of intersections in the Harlingen area that we want to spend some money on. We've been working with your staff, Craig, and with Gabe on these. It's not a lot, unfortunately. We're hoping for more in the future, but for right now, it's $60,500. The $60,000 is it identifies 3 control cabinets that we're looking at for the area, and the $500 is for GPS clocks that we have on the existing cabinets within the region. If you can see, this gives you an idea of some of the control cabinets that we're looking at to be able to do improvements on, which would be purchasing all brand new control cabinets. There is an 80-20 match on the money, but I think that's a really good return on the dollars. What I would also offer is that I am in negotiations with Cameron County, with the city of Brownsville, because they have a larger amount to work out, possibly with your staff on them being the fiduciary lead on the project, just since there's so much more equipment that they'll be ordering for themselves. It makes sense to try to get the best cost savings that we can and piggyback these orders together. We did this previously in Hidalgo County with Mission, McAllen, Farr, and Edinburgh. And at that time, Mission was the largest, not this program, but a different one. But they were the largest recipient of funds at that time, and they carried the water, if you will, on the purchasing agreements for the 4 cities. So I'm in negotiations with Brownsville to work that out, and then I'll get with your city management staff, of course, Mayor, to see if that's all agreeable, and you work out the MOU, and we'll try to do the funding. The funding is identified for FY 2025, so it's soon. It's not next week, but we're only a couple of months from 24, so I really can't believe the year's gone by as quickly as it has. And I know that your staff is already prepared with these, that they're ready to go projects, so we're excited to be able to do that and identify other financial opportunities for the city of Harlingen and the Harlingen-San Benito region as they become available. With that, I don't think I have another one. Oh, I do. I apologize. For the Harlingen area, it identifies for you those areas you're probably more familiar with along Business 77 that we did identify, be able to work on. So this gives you an idea. We'll make sure if your staff that those are priorities for the city as well. Just because they're identified through our congestion study doesn't necessarily mean that it's as much a priority for your city as we think it would be. So we will definitely work closely with staff to identify and make sure that that is the case. With that, ma'am, that's really all I have for you this evening.
Thank you so much for coming by and presenting. Is there any discussion, questions? No? Thank you so much.
Somebody throw me a hard one. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 3 is the consent agenda. Do we have any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda? Okay, do we have a motion to approve consent agenda A through I?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to new business. Item 4, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance amending the City of Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 6, Article 4 of the Animal Control, Section 6-117, definitions, and Section 6-121, inhumane treatment of animals.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commission. Before you tonight, we have for your consideration, an ordinance to amend the definition section and the inhumane treatment section of the animal control ordinances. We want to clarify and define a little better adequate shelter, what inclement weather is, and then incorporate those into the ordinances. I also left for you at your area the backup where we kind of got some of the information that we used in creating this ordinance, which was through the AVMA, the American Veterinary Medical Association. So we looked at other ordinances and we consulted the AVMA when we were working on this ordinance.
I mean, you guys did a great job on this. I just have some concerns.
Okay.
And it's just the technical part of my personality. Is that a lot of this that you pull from your ordinance to amend it, you pull from Texas Penal Code 42.09 and Texas Health and Safety Code 821.102, correct?
Yes.
My concern though is that some of the definitions are inconsistent. For
Okay.
example, the statute will have a broader definition than what you guys are using. And I think that may cause some concerns and the implementation later, right? I'm wondering why didn't you why wasn't the idea just to say, hey, we're gonna just follow these laws and that's that?
That is an idea. I mean, city ordinances can be more stringent than your state laws, but we were just honestly trying to look at the best protection we could get for the animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I like the way you guys did how you defined cold weather and hot weather. I think that's perfect. I think the other parts are a little concerning.
Okay.
Just for the sake of understanding and enforcement of it, I'm more than willing to, if you wouldn't be opposed to table this, and I can work with you, we can clean up the language real quick, make sure that it lines up with the statutes, and I think we'll have a great product.
Absolutely. I have no concern with that.
So before we do that, and I think that's a good idea, I had actually reached out to Josh, and they've been working together to try to improve and to really make our ordinances a little more, kind of put a little more teeth into the law that we have, because every week I get phone calls or emails, and I'm sure others on the commission, I don't know if you do, but it's unfortunate because animal control really can only do so much. And so, we get calls, I send them to Josh, animal control goes out there and they have shelter. They have a roof over their head, they have water, and they're not tied up. And it's 103 degrees outside. And so naturally, neighbors and community members that drive by, they're upset about that. And then they're even more upset that animal control goes out and doesn't quote unquote do anything about it. And so I think it's important for us to have definitions of shelter, what adequate shelter is, and making it even a little more tailored to our community because of where we are in South Texas, and we've had these heat waves that have been really, really brutal. I mean, people are dying, right, all over that we're seeing, and animals as well. But when I looked at San Antonio's, because I had kind of the same concerns as you, I was looking at their shelter definition was a little different, and they did it for similar reasons. And what they did in theirs is under shelter, they added, instead of just it has to protect you from sunlight, extreme heat and rain and cold, it has to have a roof with 3 sides and a 4th side allowing access that's protected from the elements, and a floor that's elevated enough to keep the shelter dry. So for example, they go out to a home, there might not be technically a dog house, but there's a carport, right? And they're underneath it, but the sun is still blaring, and they have shelter and potable water. And so then there's nothing that they can do. With this, they'd actually have to have a structure that's protecting them from that direct sunlight and keeping them at least as much as possible comfortable. And so I think that looking at what other cities are doing in our state might be helpful. And then when they take it even a step further and say that their shelter has to have access to adequate natural or artificial shade from direct sunlight at all times that's large enough to contain all their pets, outdoor pets at one time, and is separate from any shade created from the designated shelter. So you have 2 problems, right? You've got one where there's a house with no trees, no shade, nothing, and they just have a little dog house. And now you go out and everything is fine, and there's nothing that you can do, even though that the dog looks like, or the whatever pet looks like it needs help, but animal control can't do anything. Then you have the other where they have the shade but they don't have an area to protect them from the water. So I think defining it to a point where animal control can ensure that the pet owners are doing the best that they can to protect their pets, but within the limits of the law. And so that was the instruction that I gave to Mark, and I think that you looked at this and thought it was fine. Is that right?
Yes, Mary. Into the definition of adequate shelter, we included both protection from inclement weather and also allowed the animal to avoid standing water. So we incorporated that into the definition of adequate shelter. The only thing that I would change is in the zeal to enact an animal protection ordinances, I wrote the second fine at 1,000. I think we're limited to 500.
Yes, we are.
So with that exception, I think we're, whatever the commission wants to do.
Because honestly, I wanted to say, I wanted to have them enforce a requirement of folks to have to bring their pets indoors. But I thought, well, I don't know that we can do that legally. And there was a point made by Mark saying, maybe not all houses have central AC, and so there's other things to think about. And so I want us to do as much as we can, but under the limitations that we have. But if you want to tighten up the language.
Yeah, because if you look at it, what they've done is essentially, and with good intent, they've copied and pasted from different parts of the statute. So even when you look at the adequate shelter, that language is literally copied from another part of the statute itself. So my argument is, why are you trying to codify a statute that's
already
there?
exists?
Now, that's why I go back to where I really like what you guys did when you defined what is cold weather, what is hot weather, right? Because it uses terms like inclement weather includes rain, hail, which we have hail, is not included in our ordinance. We just had hail like 2 weeks ago. It's not included in our ordinance, but included in the statute. So now you're, well, does hail apply? Does hail not apply? Technically it does apply because it's in the statute. But you're creating unnecessary confusion, right? I like how extreme low temperatures define, extreme high temperatures define. I think that's where we can tighten things down.
Heat advisory.
I think that it's unnecessary to codify something that's already codified.
I agree.
So I think we can do a simple cleanup. We can cut most of this out and just say we just tighten where the statute says.
So there's also, I don't know if you want to share this information here?
We've also talked about allowing a pet owner to bring the pet inside, allowing the pet to have some inside time throughout the hottest point of the day. We're looking at some language that would allow us with the ordinance to require the citizen to have a pet, if they have inside air conditioning, to allow the pet some cooling time, not all the time, of course, but a couple hours, 1 hour or so, the hottest point of the day, to allow the pet to cool down.
That could be tough, though. I mean, if people work, people in school, I mean,
Right.
that'd be a tough one to.
Something to consider.
I think just in the, when there's heat advisories, I think it's just mostly a safety to ensure that we don't have pets that are outside in extreme temperatures. And I said we need to be very careful because at first it was anything over 90 degrees. I was like, well, that's all the time, right? we can't. Yeah, we can't have that because that would be could be year round. But I'm good if you want a motion to table it, but I do want some direction and as soon as possible so that the next meeting we can get it done. Just because it's getting hotter and hotter. We're only in July. And
I want to make sure that the pets are safe in the hottest point of the day, the heat waves.
right.
Want to make a motion to table it?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Item 5, consideration and possible action to approve an ordinance on first reading amending the Harlingen Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Master Fee Schedule Exhibit A, establishing new rental rates for food, contest, and vendor booths for Fiesta de Piñatas. Alexis?
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is our newest event coming to downtown Harlingen on September 16th, celebrating 16 de Septiembre. The rental for the food vendor fees will be $75 for the vendors and contest entries and $150 for food vendors.
Alexis, this is what we typically charge everyone, correct?
No, this is a much higher vendor fee.
Why?
So, because it's a bigger event.
And we're having it on the west side of Van Buren, correct?
Yes, Gutierrez Park and West Van Buren.
I think here it says downtown at sundown booth rentals in the packet. I think it just needs to be changed, right? This is what's for my signature? Or
I can get with Melinda and make sure that changes.
okay, just so that it's
Yeah.
clear.
Okay.
And you're not changing the downtown at sundown,
So we will not be having downtown at sundown that September.
right? But you're not
Yes.
changing rates. Okay. All right.
Second.
Subject to that change, right? You'll
Yes.
fix that. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6, consideration and possible action to authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of agreement between the Lower Rio Grande Valley TPDES Stormwater Task Force Partnership and the City of Harlingen for the preparation of a regional Texas pollutant discharge eliminating system stormwater permit application and stormwater program plan.
Yes, Mayor, City Commissioners, good afternoon. As you may know, we have a municipal separate storm sewer system permit, is also known as MS4 permit, for compliance with stormwater pollution prevention regulations. So we have a permit with TCEQ, so there's a plan that has to be done to be in compliance, and it's time to renew the plan. So this MOA is to get us going on renewing the plan for us to be in compliance with TCEQ, avoid fines.
Yes, sir. Is there any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Javier.
Thank you.
Item 7, consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance on first reading for a rezoning request from residential single-family district to a planned development district for mixed-use development consisting of 1 multifamily lot and 42 single-family lots for 11.62 acres out of blocks 1 and 2, Howard's Dixieland Heights Subdivision Number 2, located on the west side of Dixieland Road, approximately 580 feet south of Garrett Road, across the street from Dixieland Park.
Yes, Mayor, this is for a proposed residential subdivision. This is on Dixieland Road, south of Garrett, on the west side, and the baseball fields are right just north of the baseball fields of the high school. So this is the proposed layout of the subdivision and the surrounding area. So you have 42 proposed lots for single family use, so it's kind of consistent with what we have out there. And then one lot for multi-family use on the north side. So that gives you more details on the 42 lots.
The
The-
multi-family, sorry, Javier, or how many?
So there one lot for multifamily
But how many units?
is just one lot, and the developer is proposing garden homes,
Mm-hmm.
a series of garden homes all along the north side, and he's proposing a private street to go like this and then connect to the public street here.
How
So
many?
it's a subdivision similar to what we have on Hain, about half a mile west of FM 509. You have a single family homes, and then you have a one lot for garden homes where it's just one owner, and the owner rents the garden. So it's kind of like an apartment complex, but not really, because they're like separate smaller houses.
They
So-
don't have attached walls. They don't.
No, they're separate. And I have a slide
To
that
see-
I'll present that will help explain
But
that.
how many garden homes?
I think, how many? Like 20? Yeah, it's gonna be around 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah, it's all along this, connected by a private street. And then the private street's gonna connect to the public street here. So here's a breakdown of the lots. On the single family homes, is in compliance with the regulations. The only difference is he's asking for 3 foot side setbacks as opposed to the normal 5 feet on the side. So no, other than that, the single family lots are consistent with our city regulations. Here's a photo of the property. In the land use plan, it calls for low density residential. Since it's mostly 80% single family lots, it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. We did get a petition in opposition. In red and blue are the people that signed the petition. They did get the 20% with the notification area. So that triggers a supermajority of the vote of the city commission for this to be approved. And see, here's the petition. They have concerns with the 42 single family lots, the traffic congestion on Dixieland, Garrett, Tucker Roads, property values being affected, noise, potential multifamily low income apartments, and the possibility of crime in the area. And we have 25 signatures, and I showed in the previous map who signed it. And the calculations for the
Wait,
20%.
can you back up one? Is this the same protest, just the second page?
It's the same, yeah.
So there are 3 pages?
3 pages, yes. It's the same petition.
Okay, can we see the second page? That's the 3rd page.
That's the second page.
There we go.
So total of 25 signatures, and this map shows who signed it. So some are within the notification area, they're shown in red, and then outside the notification area are shown in blue. But they did get the 20% of the notification area that triggers the supermajority. So 4 votes are needed for this zoning to be approved, as opposed to a simple majority.
To the north, that's just all fields, right?
Yeah.
And then to the south, that's all fields? Right,
Yeah,
like
this is
baseball fields?
these are the baseball fields, and then this is a vacant tract that is agricultural land, and then you have homes on the west side, and then you have the city park on the east side of the Dixieland.
So everywhere where people live, they essentially opposed it.
Yeah, a lot of the people that live in this area signed the petition in opposition.
And Javier, I'm sorry. Do you still?
No,
What was the opposition? What are the concerns?
crime, traffic.
42 single-family lots, traffic congestion on Dixieland, Garrett, Tucker Roads, property values being affected, potential noise, low-income apartments, and potential crime increasing in the area. And a lot of these things were discussed with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I have some slides to show you how some of these concerns were addressed
Okay.
with the Planning and Zoning Commission. So the concern about noise, so we showed to the Planning and Zoning Commission there's a lot of separation between the lots. You have a drainage right here, and then you have an AEP transmission line right here. So all of this is non-buildable. So between on the west side lots, that's the buildable line. Between that and the property line of the subdivision is approximately 155 feet. And then you have an addition 20 feet on the rear yard. So you're looking at 170 to 180 feet of separation between houses. So we believe that addresses the noise concern. There's a lot of separation between the houses. And then on the single family lots, they're complying with our requirements of 50 by 100. He's proposing 54 by 120. So he exceeds our minimum for for regular subdivisions. He's just proposing the 3-foot side setbacks as opposed to the normal 5 feet. So he would like a more buildable area, have a little bit wider houses. He does have to build a firewall to prevent a fire from going from one house to the other. So he has, if this is approved, he has more strict building requirements along those sidewalls. And then the concerns about traffic, Dixieland is already 4 lanes, and all the traffic from this subdivision, all the traffic is going to Dixieland. All the traffic is going to Dixieland. They're going to go north or south. So the Planning and Zoning Commission didn't agree with the traffic concerns. So this is the site plan for the other project that he has on Hain, about half a mile west of FM. So that gives you an example of what he's proposing to do on that one multifamily lot. So he has like a private street, and then he has the garden homes with a minimum separation, and then so the plan is to rent them, and then so the people that rent here could potentially be home buyers in the single family lots, right?
So he would eventually sell these?
No, this will always be multifamily, but the people that rent here could potentially buy.
So these
a lot. The people that rent here could potentially in the future purchase a lot and build a house in one of the 42 lots.
the garden homes, they're not technically apartments. They're homes.
They're homes,
And-
but they're all rentals. Yeah,
Okay. And they don't share a wall. They're like
they're separated.
individual.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have a garage.
Yeah,
And are they 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms?
yeah. And Mr. Elizarde can elaborate on that. But,
Okay.
they're kind of smaller houses for rent with a front yard and a backyard.
Define smaller, how many square feet?
Thank you.
How many livable square feet?
On the garden homes?
So each would have about 1,000.
1,000 feet.
About 1,000.
Oh, so they're kind of small. 1,000 with 2 bedrooms.
1,000 living. 1,000 feet living, and then the garage.
A separate garage.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, and then here's a photo of his project on Hain, about half mile west of FM 509, where he's already doing the garden homes. So that gives you an example of what he's already doing on Hain that he's proposing to do on Dixieland. Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing. There were concerns from the residents. Some had concerns about lower property values, others had concerns about higher property values as a result of the project. Crime, there were some concerns about crime. The Planning and Zoning Commission did not feel that the project will result in higher crime. And the concerns about traffic, the board didn't think that this project will impact the traffic on Tucker Road, where this, the people that signed the petition, they all go to Tucker. And so these are not connected subdivisions, so they felt that the traffic concerns are not valid concerns. So the Planning and Zoning Commission approved it unanimously.
And what was the basis of the crime? I know the P&Z found there were no basis for it, but what were the concerns of the citizens?
Well, so I think there's a misconception that these are lower, for the multifamily, that there are lower income apartments, but that's not the case. And so there's a perception that in apartments that are for low income, that there's higher crime. So the board did not feel that that was a valid concern. First, they don't agree that they're low income apartments and that they don't generate crime. That this project will not generate any additional crime to the area.
And just because someone lives in a low income apartment doesn't necessarily mean that that
Correct.
equates to crime,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay. But there was no crime in the area or any issue. I meant like from the police department, any evidence to show that there's issues with crime in the area? Okay.
On Monday, Javier, when Javier sent me the information, I looked at the petition. I noticed there was quite a few signatures. So on this past Monday, I went to the neighborhood. I went to Schaffner and I also went to Gomez Road, and I spoke to a lot of the residents in that area. Some of them are here in the audience today, because I want to get feedback, because I represent them. I want to get feedback from them. So generally, the unanimous, basically what they were all agreeing on was that their main worry is that they didn't mind the single family. Their concerns were the multifamily. The only thing is what I ended up having a meeting with Mr. Elizarde, because I understand that a lot of the people that signed the petition because of what they read on the petition, and they didn't really have they didn't get to really hear everything that was going on. So what I was able to organize with Mr. Elizarde is this coming Monday. What we're going to do is we're going to have a little neighborhood meeting. We're going to have one there on Schaffner Lane. We're going to go there on the cul-de-sac, and I'm going to pass these out to everybody in the neighborhood. And I'm going to invite them to come out, and Mr. Elizarde is going to be there, Javier is going to be there, and I'm going to be there, because if they have any concerns or anything like that, I want them to be able to speak about those concerns, so that way we can address them. Because I think a lot of the people that signed it are, they just saw what was on the top of the petition. They don't really understand everything that was going on. So I want them to have all the information that they can. So we're going to do that on Schaffner Lane, and we're also going to do that on Gomez Lane. And then once we have that, I'm hoping we could alleviate some of the fears that some of the residents have. Because overall, I think this is a good, this is going to have a good economic benefit for Harlingen. It's going to bring more people to Harlingen, and it's going to do well for the businesses like Target, and for the, at South, we're going to have more students there at South, with Target, the mall, all that area. It's going to benefit economically. So I think this is a good thing, but at the same time, I understand that I represent the constituents there, and I want them to have a say and an understanding of what's going on. So that's why I know we have to have the public hearing, but what I'm going to ask is we can table this, so that way we can have the meeting on Monday with all the residents that cannot come to this meeting. Well, they can't come to us, I'll go to them, and we'll talk to them, and then we'll bring it up on the next meeting, and we can vote on it then.
You're going to do this outside?
What do you mean outside?
Like outside?
Yeah, we're going to do it right there in the cul-de-sac, bust out the cul-de-sac, and I'll be there, and all three of us will be there, and we'll talk to everybody. Anybody who wants to come, let's talk to them.
Sunblock,
Yes.
water,
Yes.
a tent? Okay.
One question before we move to two. There's you guys have like a stop sign, right? Right there at the corner. of
On Tucker and
Dixieland
Garrett?
Oh.
Yeah.
If you were to throw in this subdivision or this development there, and it's gonna be a nightmare going through that.
But it could potentially lead to a traffic signal there in the future.
Okay.
So I have a question for
Maybe
you.
Houses all have a one-car garage?
Two car. During the public hearing, the developer can give you the specifics on the garden homes and the
Thank you,
single
Javier.
family.
So I have a question. how will all the citizens, the concerned citizens in that area be notified?
I'm gonna go there. I was waiting for these to get printed out. I'm gonna go to each door. And I'm gonna leave these on the doors.
Okay, prior to.
Yes, prior to
Okay.
that. Yeah, I'm gonna do it myself.
I think that's a great idea. That's awesome that you're doing that and give them an opportunity. I will say I do agree somewhat, well, entirely, I guess, with the Commissioner Bettis that petitions can sometimes be very misleading. And so if you're told that things are going to be one way without having all the information and then, based on emotion, maybe sign, and that's not good. But definitely want the community to get involved and to have a full understanding. And I know Commissioner Bettis values the opinions and the concerns of the constituents in our district. So I think that's a wonderful idea, and hopefully there can be some common ground. But is there any other questions we do have a public hearing, and I think we need to do that because there are lots of people here that came to speak, and I'm sure they want to. So is there any other questions for Javier? And just beforehand, for anybody that is in the audience that wants to speak at this public hearing, you're more than welcome to, or you can definitely reserve your time to speak when we take it up for a vote, because it is my understanding that there'll be a motion to table this, right?
Yes, I'm gonna make a motion to table it. Hopefully we can table it, then bring it back on with the.
So no action will be taken on it today, but you are welcome to speak in the public hearing. So having said that, at this time we will open this up for a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against the adoption of this ordinance? Sir?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Armando Elizarde. I'm the developer of Parkview Meadows. Staff informed me that there was some concerns and there was a petition, and what I wanted to do was address some of the concerns that are on the petition, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions that the Commission may have. First of all, the subdivision is on Dixieland Road, south of Garrett Road. Right now, there's not anything there but us, the baseball field, and the park. So I don't think that we would be affecting traffic on Tucker Road or Garrett. My subdivision faces Dixieland Road. Everybody will enter and exit on Dixieland Road. I don't, are you able? Well, you see here, Dixieland Road is a 4-lane road. The city has invested a lot of money putting drainage, curb, gutter. We are doing the same to our subdivision. We will be installing curb, gutter, drainage, street lights. I understand the city is also installing street lights all the way down to Rangerville Road or that area. We will be an enhancement for that area. Everybody will either take a left or a right. In order for you to go to Tucker or Garrett, you would have to go to Garrett, take a left, and go all the way around the back. So we would have no business back there on Garrett and Tucker Road. We would not affect that traffic back there. Another concern was property values. I can tell you that we're doing a subdivision. The subdivision will have deed restrictions that people will have to follow. If they will be detailed. If they don't follow the deed restrictions, there is penalties and there can be legal action taken. The homes there will start at $250,000 and up. So I don't think that we will lower the values in that area, especially with bringing in water, sewer, curb, gutter, and so forth. There's other subdivisions in that area that don't have sewer, curb, and gutter. We will. The next thing was noise, us affecting noise. Somebody had mentioned earlier that they can hear the pachangas at the park or so forth. We will be a buffer between the park and their subdivision. Actually, we'll probably get quieter because we will be in between that area. I don't see our residents creating any more noise than any regular subdivision would. The city has ordinances. If you have a problem with your neighbor, then you need to call the police if there's noise. But I don't see my subdivision creating any more noise than any other subdivision. There was also a concern about, the word was used, low income or multifamily. I don't know where that term came from. I have never mentioned that term to the city, neither has city staff. I think, as it was said earlier, somebody wrote this on here to get people's attention. I never said it was low income, and that's not our case anyway. We sell to any,
Administrator?
Go ahead.
we sell to anybody who wants to buy a home regardless of what status you may be. So that's not the case there, and that's not what we're doing there. We're doing a subdivision very similar to this one on Hain Road, right down from the Treasure Hill School. The subdivision is 100% sold out. The homes start at 300,000. Next to it, we have garden homes that we're building. There was some confusion about the garden homes. The garden homes are individual standing. There's 3 feet in between every one. Each of them have private backyards. Each backyard is fenced. As far as parking, they do not have garages, but they do have their individual parking for 2-car parking for every single unit. If you look at the plat that was shown up there, you'll see that the parking and the, let me do this better. Right there. Each one will have its, you see how they're numbered? That's the 2-car parking, that's their sidewalk, 3 feet, that's their backyard, their front yard. Each one will be individual. So we won't fit more. At the most that we could fit there would maybe be 20. There will be no development in the back of if you can show back the, there'll be no development in the back. Besides having a 150-foot drainage, now I'll borrow that. Besides having this 150-foot drainage canal between us, there is also an 80-foot easement there. So right here, there will be no construction. It will start from here to here. This we cannot build on. The most that might be is the mailboxes or additional parking. So that's even further away, hundreds of feet away from their subdivision over here. There was also a concern with increase in crime. This is a subdivision like any other subdivision that I've done. I've been a developer in the community for over 20 years. I don't see my subdivision creating any more crime than any other subdivision. So I don't see how we would bring that to that area, or how we could regulate subdivisions based on the fact that maybe there could be noise, maybe there could be crime. You know, we can't develop that way. I don't see that happening, and I don't think that you'll see that in one of my subdivisions. I would like to also mention that P&Z did approve the subdivision unanimously, and staff has also approved and recommended approval. I'd be glad to answer any questions that the commissioner or mayor may have. Well, I did a good job, right?
I do have a question. You mentioned, I thought there were garages, so there's no garage, and they have a driveway or.
Right, an individual driveway parking.
Okay. So and they have 2 cars.
Yes, ma'am.
And each one of them have their 2
Own
cars.
cars.
And is there any room for parking on the street?
No, we don't allow that. We do not allow parking on the street. You park in your spot. Now the subdivision is like a regular subdivision.
No.
Right?
In the garden home?
No, we don't allow that.
So, are you responsible for that?
Yes, I am.
There's a lease that someone signs that says I'm not gonna have any guests come over to my home?
No.
Because it seems like it just seems a little odd if you have a birthday party for your son or your daughter, and it's during the day, and it's going to be a couple of hours, and you're inviting folks to this small party. Even if you're inviting immediate family, you're going to have, where are they going to park?
Sure. Well, 2 things. One is there's additional parking that's in the back, and because of fire zone, we paint one side of the. Because of fire zone, we paint one side of the curb red.
Okay.
So they cannot park on that side, and each one has their own parking. So either you park outside, or you park in the gas, or you don't. We don't allow parking in the roads.
Okay.
Like if you go back to our subdivision on, there we go.
How many spaces in that common area for the parking?
For the additional parking, we haven't decided that yet.
Okay.
It just depends. I wanted to show you, well, I don't know, might be too far back, but if you go a Hain Drive, you can see a subdivision that we're doing right now. and you'll see where they're on one side and there is no curb. On the other side, it's painted red and you can't park on that side. We don't allow that anyway. In any of our rentals, we don't allow that. You cannot be, you park in your spot, you park in the guest parking, or you park outside. But we don't have that.
So, and you keep saying, you say outside, where would outside be?
Dixieland Road, the park across the street, but it would not be on the road.
Okay, so I think that's a little concerning if there'd be folks parking on Dixieland Road.
Just like any other complex would have, you provide additional guest parking, you
Mhm.
provide parking for the residents. If you don't meet those two, then you can't park there.
Sure.
You know, just like anyone would. Now, you know, if you have 10, 20 guests, then it's probably not a good idea to have that there at our units, if you have that many.
Right. Well, you said there were smaller,
Yes, yes.
smaller homes, but I was thinking even just a small, you know, if you want to have your in-laws over or a friend or
Right,
something,
right.
where are they going to park? And that's why I think it's important to know how many parking will be available to the guest, not to the, well, I guess to the guest of the folks that live
Right,
there.
right. But there you go. That gives you kind of, you see, I don't know,
Dixieland Road, because that's where they have the parking, right? Parking's over there by the Frisbee Golf.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have to go from there, walk across a 4-lane road, because you can't park on
I was
Dixieland.
thinking,
And then you're gonna have to walk through a whole neighborhood and then get to the back.
right.
Yeah, just trying to think of like
Sure.
the practicality of it.
Right, but
You
there
want
would
people to be
be,
safe.
any complex, there would be no limit to how many parking. I mean, you provide for the residents, you provide for 2 cars, you provide additional, but is it 10, is it 20, is it 100? We have to put some kind of
restriction.
restriction or limit.
I really like the idea of the garden homes. They sound nice. I think that we need housing for, I mean, we don't have any. As you know, as a developer, there's a need for that in our community. But I just don't see how realistically how that works when you don't have space for people to park. But that, I guess we'll get more information on that, and maybe you're gonna drive out there and look to see how that looks like. I would hate to see people crossing that area. It doesn't sound safe. But if you, because these are 6-month leases,
No,
1 year leases.
We don't, 1 year minimum.
And is there a maximum occupancy for the apartment
Yes,
or
well,
garden homes?
most all of them are 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
So 4.
Exactly, right. We don't allow more than 4.
Okay.
And all that, you know, we have a lease that we go through. We've been doing
Sure.
this for many years, and we enforce and we go through it and so forth, you know. But the parking, we provide additional parking, but, you know, at some point you have to decide how many,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That's not uncommon anymore.
Really.
Because I know I mean many years ago I lived in a when we were in between before I went to law school, came back, and when we came back I think we stayed temporarily like in a duplex home area off of the loop, and you weren't supposed to park in those areas, but people would park everywhere, and it was very congested to try to get out. And you just, even though you're not supposed to, people would park in front of your driveway. It's just frustrating, and you know, you might follow the rules, but your neighbor's not, and that kind of thing.
We do try to police the area. We do have maintenance people, but yes, you're right. It could happen on a Sunday afternoon that we didn't go by and somebody did that.
Right.
But if we see that, we're gonna knock on the door and see what's going on, you know.
I understand. Is there any other questions for Mr. Lizalde?
Thank you very much. I really
Thank you,
all
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
scoop.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Commissioners. My name is Ruben De La Rosa. I live at 2502 Schaffner Lane, which is, this subdivision is going to be right behind my house. Regarding the request to rezone from residential to multi-family district to the planning development district for a mixed-use development consists of 1 multi-family lot and 42 single lots. All of the growth within the city, I am opposed for the planning as presented. A letter was sent out from the Harlingen Planning and Development Department there is a request to rezone Block 1 and 2 Howard Dixieland Highland Subdivision 2 to multifamily. The development of the subdivision is a great idea. We're not opposing the development of building homes, having homeowners, families living there. But we're not in agreement with a multifamily rezoning, 42 homes. A petition has been presented and signed by several neighbors regarding this development. Today, I'm asking the residents from Schaffner, Gomez, and Tucker and Garrett Road to stand up. These are the people that are opposing the multifamily. We're not opposing the subdivision, we're opposing the multifamily. We are asking for the commission to help us in this matter. We think that we would be better with the surroundings if the downside be kept to a single family zoning, downsizing the number of homes being built. In our subdivision, the Wild Olive subdivision on Schaffner Lane, there are 29 lots in the cul-de-sac. Single family homes. It is quiet, it is peaceful, low traffic. There are restrictions to the subdivision that's keeping it nice, clean, and not congested. We will be able to, will the area capable of handling the traffic, the water needs, the sewer needs? Doing the math shows that the end of the plan of the construction will be an upgrade of 52 homes. And what I'm talking about is Mr. Lazada is going to build 52 homes. There's another block next to it that also needs to be developed. Across the street, there's another block of land that needs to be developed. There's a White House, and then there's another piece of land behind the water plant that needs to be developed. This is where I'm coming out with the 252 homes. In the past, the residents opposed to the multifamily rezoning off of Dixieland Road and Garrett Road with the same concerns of ours today. While I was talking to our neighbors about the protest, I learned that residents on Gomez Road and Brianna Circle continue to wait for city sewer services after they were rezoned by the city of Harlingen from the 1980s on Gomez Road and early 2000 Brianna Circle. The raise of the count of and numbers of sewer services, the current infrastructure will be able to handle this growth. All we are asking for the mayor and the city commissioners to allow the subdivision to be downsized and the half of the homes requested, not allowing the multifamily rezoning. Thank you for your service of our community. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Nope.
Good afternoon. So I understand that this is
Your name?
Ron Lozano, a public hearing, and even on the law on that, more in the spirit of openness, prior to the start of the open hearing, Mr. Elizalde quipped that he would be answering any question. And he's already mentioned that, I guess because it's a private street, as he stated, that if he would be the enforcer, he would go knock on doors, and I guess he's going to be constantly in Harlingen. So my question to you is, are you the one that's going to be enforcing?
The questions need to be directed to the commission. I understand that Mr. Elizalde said he would be open to questions, but the questions have to be directed to the commission.
That's your perspective on a public hearing. Well,
There will be, it does appear that there's going, I don't know if Commissioner is going to be inviting the community, but there'll be a time where Mr. Elizalde will be speaking with the constituents that are in the affected area.
Right.
But this is for.
Right now, I hope that we have a future and we get to Commissioner Perez. I like Renee quite a bit, but I guess I have to conclude there that we have a difference on your perspective of public hearing. But thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, Mayor, thank you for giving me, my name is Sylvester Gonzalez. I live in on 2511 Garrett Road. Just turn right on Garrett, second house on the left. Yes. And Mr. Delone, worked with your brother Oscar as well for a couple of years.
Yeah, again, sir, I'm sorry, but yeah,
So
thank
you're-
you.
When I built in 2006. Okay, they told me we had building codes 2,400 square feet, so I made my house 2,800 square feet. Okay, but from my house I turned right on Garrett, turned right on Dixieland, and it will be Mr. Elizalde's subdivision. Unfortunately, there's going to be some apartments, garden homes. They're going to be 1,500 square feet. Okay. I just want to say, is that going to bottom my property value? Because mine's at 2,800. So, a little apartments or garden homes are going to be at 1,000 with a garage. Or now there's no garage, so it's going to be 1,000 square feet. Is that going to hurt me?
I think that's a question for the tax appraiser.
Yeah.
Think we have the expertise to give you that info?
That's a concern that I have.
Yeah.
That it's going to devalue my property value. Yeah, and that's all I have.
But we don't.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Is Mr. Elizalde?
Just answer. When they come out and appraise your home and they use comps, they appraise it against another home. They don't take your home and put against an apartment or a condo or whatever it is. So my townhomes will have nothing to do with whatever their home values are. If they're not going to take a townhome versus that, that's not a comp. So that's not good. It's house per house. That's not going to happen. There was a question earlier, and I think the city answered it earlier, but this is a private, that section is a private road and a private development. If there's a hole in the road, we fix it. The curb breaks, we fix it. Sewer don't work, we fix it. It's a private development. When we bring in all the infrastructure for the subdivision, at the same time, we put the infrastructure for the multifamily section. So that once it is built, it's there, including fire hydrants, and everything's planned in advance to meet all the requirements of the city. After that fact, the private ownership, I take it from there. Yes, I am responsible for whatever happens there, all of it, just to answer the other questions.
Understand. And will you be available to answer questions for the community members at this town?
Yes, he graciously agreed to be there, so he will be there.
Wonderful.
Yes, no, I will be there for both streets.
Great. And I'll do my best to try to attend. Did you have a question or a comment, sir? Yes.
My name is Herman Montemayor. I live at 2501 Garrett Road. My house is worth about $500,000. It's on 2 acres of land. I've been there since 1999. I did that because I wanted to be close to nice homes around me. Now they're presenting I love the idea of building a subdivision with nice homes at $250,000. I have rental properties. I understand the problems there is in rentals. Now they're going to put these 20 garden homes right next to me on my $500,000 home. I kind of have concerns about that. So if commissioners, if you had your home and they were building these 20 units next to your property, how would you feel? Would it be okay for you guys? The owner here, if he would live next to those homes, would it be okay for him too? I mean, he's an investor. I understand that. I'm an investor too. And I have that. You can check my records. I pay over $7,500 a year on property taxes. And I respect everybody else that does too. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You've got an opportunity to speak twice, Mayor. I very briefly.
Sure.
He also stated
Just
that
your name
he would
again.
be
Your name again.
Ronaldo Lozano. He stated that he would be responsible because it's his private street. But if you go to the subdivision that a former city commissioner and still in office, higher office, around Cornerstone, the city has spent a lot of money to fix up his errors. So whatever assurance he may give you that I'll bear the cost, you ought to bear history in mind. There's a certain value to truth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against before we close the public hearing? Yes, sir.
My name's David Gomez. I'm from 2806 Gomez Road. My concern is on this drainage. If they're going to have drainage, is that drainage going to go into that canal? Yeah, ours is going into that canal, but the drainage is not any good for us either. When it rains, like when we had Anna, hurricane come in, the whole street was flooded. The drains were full. The dishes were full of water. Now is this going to make it worse? And we don't have any sewers either. And they're going to have sewers because they're developers and they can afford it. We've been living there for 35 years and we still don't have no sewers. So how are they going to work with us?
Thank you, sir. I understand your frustration, and I know that I've spoken with Commissioner Pettis on this multiple times. That I live in your district too, in District 5, and I live in a neighborhood that doesn't have sewer either, and so we see new developments coming that have, and we're on septic tanks, and it's frustrating. But rest assured that the commission is as a whole is working towards coming to a remedy for that. Unfortunately, development doesn't stop for those of us that are still waiting, and that moves forward. And we want the development to have curb and gutter and sewer and move forward in the right direction, so that folks are not in the situation that you are in or I am in. But we are still aware of that situation. And I know that these, Javier and our city engineer and Craig, the drainage is important to the commission, and we'll ensure that that's not an issue. But thank you for your concerns.
Every time we have bad weather, our septic tanks don't want to work because the streets are flooded, everything's flooded. So, you know.
I know that's a top priority for Commissioner Pettis.
I know one of the first things I asked Javier when he told me about the subdivision, because about a year and a half ago we did upgrade our drainage standards, our retention standards, or detention standards, and one of the first things I asked him was, with the new subdivision, did it meet the new standards? And it does. So it's going to. We're being proactive. We're aware of the situation there in that area, and you and I have had many conversations regarding the sewers, and I'm aware of that. I mean, that is one of my major goals to do. And in about a month or so, I'm going to bring it up so we can have a conversation here about the sewer services there in your area, and also Brianna and everywhere else in District 5. But the thing is, this does take time, because you're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars it's going to take. And like, you know, you and I have had many conversations, and I know you've talked to Tim over there at Waterworks, and just about a month ago I had a town hall with some people around Brianna Circle and from Stewart Place that we met at Waterworks, and we explained the situation. So we are aware of it, and I'm doing everything I can to rectify that situation. But again, it takes time, and more importantly, it takes tons and tons of money, and that's what we're trying to get.
How much time are you talking about? I've been there for 35 years or 40.
The thing is,
they've been deciding when they're going to do it.
I've only been here.
I mean,
I've only
all
been
the
here
other
for 2.
subdivisions have sewers, and they told us that the sewer lifts were not big enough to take care of those streets. But now they're adding more subdivisions, and they're not making the sewer lift or the sewers bigger. So how are they making them bigger, and more subdivisions and more sewer? If how are they going to do that?
That is one of the things that we talked about.
Are they going to build another sewer plant or what?
That's actually in part of the master plan, the Waterworks master plan. That's actually a part of it. That it's going to be actually in our area eventually, the new water plant that we're planning. But that's years in the future.
And all that money you guys are going to get for this new subdivision from the city of Harlingen, you know, maybe you can use some of that money for put sewers in too, for us, before you start putting more subdivisions in.
Remember, this is the city is not paying for the subdivision. This is all private development.
No, I know that. That's why the city's paying for the sewer. I mean, they who owns the sewer?
But we're
sewer
not
plants. Who owns it?
We're not the ones that's putting it in. Because your issue that you have is
yeah. But they're affecting the people that don't have sewers.
No, I agree.
Drainage.
I agree. And if it was up to me, because I've heard stories about the people in Brianna Circle, I've talked to many of them, how some of them have to go to coast to use the restroom when it floods, like you mentioned right now. And I agree with you. If I could give you the sewers tomorrow, I would give them to you in a heartbeat, because I think that is a basic necessity that you should have. And I'm trying my hardest to get there, and hopefully we will get there, but it does take time, and it's a process.
Yeah.
like I said, you and I have talked about this before, and I know you called me and I called you back, and I'm working on it. I wish I could have better results for you as of right now, but I'm still working on it. I'm working on it, and it's what's going to be coming in front of us, like I said earlier, and we're going to start having that. We're going to have that because that conversation has never been had here at this on the city commission level. It's never been had about extending sewers or anything like that.
Oh yeah, it had been had in 1985 when I built my house there.
I was still in high
But
school.
you weren't here. You
Yeah, I was in high
weren't even
school.
Born yet.
I was in high school.
But every time that somebody at the subdivision, I come in here and talk to you people. I talked to Boswell and Bill Card back then in 1985 when they annexed us. If you're going to annex an area, you have to go out there and find out what they need when people start building homes.
I agree with you.
know, and they didn't do that for us. They wanted me to pay for a fire hydrant. Me and a friend here, we had to pay for a fire hydrant because that road, Gomez Road, didn't have a fire hydrant. But you should have known that before you annexed us, And we paid for it in order to build a house. Something we didn't have to do. The city's got to do that. The only thing we got from the city right now is water. That's all we got.
No, like I said, these were things that happened decades ago, and we're trying our best to rectify.
We're still living like we are back in the country, So with septic tanks and crap like that. So let's modernize ourselves, and right now we got enough money, or everybody's got enough money to do something for us that were there a long time ago.
Commissioner, did you have a question?
No, he answered it.
Okay. We're gonna, if you just, I'll give you 30 seconds, 30 seconds, so because
Just on
we,
the drainage, part of our agreement
Yeah.
with the city is we will be cleaning out that canal.
Right.
We'll be making it deeper and wider.
Yes.
So that will improve the drainage.
thank you.
It has to, he had to clean it out 2 or 3 times every time they had a subdivision.
Right. I encourage, I know that a lot of the community members from that area have come out, and we really appreciate your being here and being part of the conversation. And I know this commission cares about each and every one of your concerns, and I'm happy that Commissioner Bettis is going to organize this for you to get those questions answered. I encourage you all to go out, write your questions down, and the developer to answer those questions for you. But rest assured that this commission as a whole prioritizes drainage, and we would not be approving any subdivisions that we thought were going to further aggravate any existing issues that we have. So we have an incredible amount of respect when it comes to our city staff and city engineer, and we feel that they're at this point doing things, and but unfortunately, everyone here has inherited a lot of problems, and we're trying our best to navigate through that process and come up with solutions for you and for everyone that is in those situations. But it is correct that it costs lots of money, but regardless, we need to get it done, and so we are focused on that. But it's not going to happen tomorrow, but that is something that is a priority, and we're working towards it each day. I'll tell you, last week we had I think it was last week at the Waterworks meeting, and I was there, and Commissioner Bettis was there, and we were talking about the folks that are sitting here in this room, and the ones that don't have sewer, and I had that exact question that you raised. Why are we having new developments if we cannot take care of the ones that we already have? And of course, private development, we can't stop private development. They're well within their right to construct new development, but we have a responsibility to ensure that we are doing the best that we can for you. So that's what we're trying to do. But I do understand the frustration of why are we growing if we're not, providing everything that we need to the folks that were annexed years ago. I live in a subdivision that was annexed years ago too. We don't. I sit here on the commission. I have a septic tank. So there's only so much that we can do, but we are working towards it. So I hope you feel that you have been heard and that we are trying. I know Commissioner Bettis talks about this every second that he gets an opportunity to with Tim and with the board at Waterworks. So we're working towards that. If there's no one else here to speak for the public hearing, we're going to go ahead and close it at this time. And is there a motion to table?
Yes, I make a motion to table this.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item will be tabled. Item 8, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution finding that AEP's application to amend its distribution cost recovery factors to increase distribution rates within the city should be denied, authorizing participation with the cities served by AEP, authorizing the hiring of legal counsel, finding that the city's reasonable rate case expenses shall be reimbursed by the company, and finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed to the public as required by law. Josh?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And item 9, board appointments. Do you have any, Commissioner Kinsley?
No, ma'am.
Lopez?
I'm gonna do Luis Vidal to go with the PNC, and then Kendra Hernandez to do the Teen and Young Adult Advisory Board.
From South?
Not sure. She lives in Fair Park area. She's the owner of Cheyenne's.
Oh, no, no, I'm thinking, yeah, you told me. Somebody
Oh,
did.
the daughter.
The dog.
I was like, which is.
And she looks young too.
Sorry. I was like, what do you mean? Okay, I don't have any at this time, Commissioner? No?
No.
Reappoint Reyes Ruelas for the Downtown Improvement Board, and if you may, replace Jerry Browns with Ron Lozano for Keep Harlingen Beautiful. That's it.
Replace who?
Jerry
Rounds, okay. And Commissioner?
No, none.
Is there a motion to approve the board appointment?
Motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, do you have a discussion?
May we remove Ron Lozano from the general vote and take it individually?
We can. So can I get a motion to approve Luis Villarreal and Kendra Hernandez, which were Commissioner Lopez's appointments?
And you want to reappoint Reyes?
Correct.
And I'm sorry, yes. Reappoint, is that Raymond Reyes?
Correct.
Okay, to the downtown, right?
No, he's mine.
It's Reyes Ruelas.
Oh.
It's a different.
Okay, that was
name,
just,
but it's two different people.
all right. Whatever you all want, gentlemen. Okay, did you get, mainly I'm saying this for Amanda, so just to be clear. So, okay,
Yes.
so those, oh, all right, do we have a motion for those 3 appointments?
Motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now, do I have a motion for Ron Lozano to be appointed to the Keep Harlingen Beautiful Board in replacement of
Jerry Browns.
Jerry Rounds? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. All right, item 10, executive session, consultation with legal counsel pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0712 to receive privileged attorney-client communication regarding contractual rights and obligations. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. It is now 6:44 and we will be in executive session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Time is now 7:13 and we are out of executive session. We do have item 11, consideration and possible action on item 10 as discussed in executive session, but we do not have any action at this time. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and we are adjourned.